This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so till now, what we learned? We learned about the what is this QA course, and then what are the SDLC phases. After that, we learn about the waterfall model. Then we learn about the Agile. Agile is the most important one because in the project, you might be working in Agile methodology, like in Agile model. So you need to understand how this Agile works. What are the meetings you have to attend? Okay, so you need to understand all these meetings because it's something like you join in that sprint review meeting, and you are talking as like a sprint planning meeting. You are attending a sprint planning meeting. In that case, they will understand that you don't have any idea what is Agile is, right? Or sometimes people get confused with that sprint review meeting or sprint retrospective meeting. So these two meetings people get confused. So review means that review that the sprint, only the reviewing, like whatever they did in that sprint, they are just doing the review. Like if there is any demo, developers will show that demo to the product owner, or how many stories they completed. So they will put that in a completed or accepted column. So that are the thing is done in sprint review meeting. And in sprint retrospective meeting, we just answer three questions. What went well, what didn't go well, and what we can do better. So these three questions we answer in that. Okay. So before I start, there's some new thing here. So I want to take a vote from you. So till now we did four session, and in this fourth session, how confident you are about this learning this process, learning this manual testing or automation. Automation we didn't start, but let's say manual testing. How confident you are. So you have to provide the number is between 1 to 5. So it can be you can share with everyone. You should share with everyone. Um, one means that you didn't understand anything and you need some more progress, and 5 means that you understood everything. Okay, so let's start now. So please put your vote in the chat box. So you have to type any number between 1 to 5. 1 means that you didn't understand anything from this course till now in like 4 session, and 5 means that you understood everything, you don't have any issue. Okay, I got 3 votes till now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I believe everyone put their vote here, so which is a good thing. Most of them are with 4, and some are with 3, which is also fine. That's mean that you are like a little confident about this course, and you might do well if you do some more practice and if you like try to understand what you're doing. Okay, so now the thing that we did just now, that the taking of this voting, like whatever the team members we have here, we do that after every sprint review meeting, no, sprint planning meeting. So in sprint planning meeting, so we have that we take that stories to work in that sprint. So we take that under our name, and then after that, after the meeting is almost done, then the Scrum Master or the product owner will ask you that, okay, let's take a vote. How confident we are to that we will complete this these stories in this next sprint, in this like 10 days. Okay, so they will take the vote, and the vote will be like between 1 to 5. So 5 means that we'll be done. We'll do our like all we'll be like confident, like very confident that we will complete our stories. 4 is kind of like we might be confident, like little confident, And 3 is there might be some issue, but we might complete that stories. And 2 is like I have a confusion, like we might not complete that. And 1 is like we don't have any confidence to complete that stories. So these are the 5 points. In out of these 5, most of the cases you can provide either 3 or 4, because based on your number they will ask you, okay, why do you think that it's 3? Are you not confident about your work or something like that? So they might ask you. Okay, so in that kind of situation, why we say 3 means that there is a possibility like that story is depend on something else, that story might not get finished on time. In that kind of situation we put 3. And 4, usually people put 4 because 4 is kind of like near to 5, and we are confident we might complete their stories, so usually people put 4 there. Okay, so this is the one of the thing that we do after the sprint planning meeting, in the end of the meeting. You got it? Any question here? Okay. Okay, so you got the idea. So how it works? I like what you did. I didn't get that, Onyx. So can you explain that? No, where I did what?
Oh no, I was just trying to say, like, how he was trying to explain the sprint review meeting, and you got it our vote. So, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Okay, so basically, the thing is, when you relate everything with your your daily work or whatever you are doing, it will be very easy to understand. But when you are when you'll be trying to memorize these things, you will forget this one, and even in the interview, you might not remember, might not recall these things. So it's better to keep it like with your daily work, like the examples. That's why I try to give in that way. Okay, so let's start then. You are done with this voting. So let's start with this one. So I already explained that how this daily stand-up look like. So daily stand-up is look like this. So people gathers together. Either it can be a meeting room or they comes to that the one place, get together, and then they talk about what uh, 3 things, right? Can anyone tell me what are the 3 things, 3 questions they have to answer in daily stand-up?
What you did yesterday, what are going to do today, and what will be your plan for tomorrow?
Uh, you are right on 2, not in last one. So what you did yesterday, what you are going to do today, and
Is
if
there a store, like roadblocker, right?
roadblock or show blocker.
Ah,
Yeah.
yes. Is there something stopping you?
Yes. Something is stopping you to do your work. So 3 questions you have to answer here. And so this is the one. It's hosted for just like 15 minutes or so, something like that. If it is more than that, we know that what is that, but I will go to that one later. And then we have to answer these 3 questions. And here, every team members answer this question briefly and to the point. And we don't give a brief of that any story, any like explanation. We just give the answer of the question like briefly, but not that much. It goes more than 5 minutes, because if it is goes more than 5 minutes, then it goes to the parking lot. If you see here in this picture, we have a one section for parking lot, and this is the section in the corner, right bottom corner. So whatever they have, the stories they have, if any stories is taking longer than usual, they put that in parking lot. And after that, the people who are responsible, who are related to this topic or the story, they get together in a meeting or together in a meeting room and then talk about that. So you already know about this one, sprint planning. Let me know. I'm just going over something that something you might not seen before, but just doing some review here. Okay. Sprint planning. So it's basically we already know that what is sprint planning is. What are we going to do in work in next 10 days, 2 weeks. That is sprint planning. And sprint review is what the things we did that we the developer usually gives some demo of the product or the work they have done, and the product owner get the demo, see the demo, and then if they like it, they accept it. If they don't, then they say that okay, you have to work on that again, and they put that again in the next sprint or next release. So this is sprint review meeting, the same thing. So it's more details how these things works. Okay, we already know about that. So sprint retrospective meeting is kind of like we have to give these three answers, questions on answer of these three questions. That is what went well, what could be improved, and how can we improve it. Like it's kind of like what didn't went well, that is go well. So that is one of the things here. And here it can be like take 30 minutes to 3 hours, but it usually takes 30 minutes maximum. Then how to do retrospective, there are like some example that I have added here. So what went well, these are some examples. So if you see this example, you can also use this example in your work and talk like that. Like there is like good collaboration. If you see that people are doing meetings together and they're getting some good output from that meetings. So and good work together, they consider good collaboration, willingness to work on a new tech stack. If there is a new technology they are adopting, so you can take these things from here as well. Okay, I'll share all these things with you. So these are the summary of all of your Agile Scrum meetings. Okay, and the summary is sprint planning meeting. It takes a lot of time, like a huge time. That's the first thing that we do in a sprint. And it's entire team, entire Scrum team join that meeting. And what is it for? Uh, to get that the backlog, the user stories from the product backlog to the sprint backlog, so that we show them that what are going to work on this sprint. Okay. Sprint review is the last day meeting that we do in the sprint, and it's basically for you use that for demo as well. And the people, the stakeholders, the product owner, they join here. Usually it takes like 4 hours maximum, but usually if it is like a small team, it takes like 2 hours, 1.5 to 2 hours. Sprint retrospective, daily scrum, and backlog refinement. So you already know about these 4 meetings, and I already showed you in the previous session that what is backlog refinement or backlog grooming meeting. So these are the terms they use for this meeting. Either it's a backlog refinement or backlog grooming meeting. And what is that? So let's say that they have a 100 requirement, and developer needs to work on this 100 requirement. Now, developer doesn't know that what are the priorities of this requirement. So who set the priority here? Anyone? Who said that I need this job to done before all of your stories, all of my other stories?
The product owner?
That is correct. Product owner. So product owner is the person who prioritizes these stories in the backlog. And during this meeting, they will pick some of the stories they need to work urgently in that current same release or next release. In that way, they are the product owner can prioritize the stories. Okay, so now these are the benefits of the Agile. So we already know that if we are using Agile, then after each and every 2 to 3 months, we can give some output to the product owner. So that based on the output, the product owner give us a feedback, and based on the feedback, we can change, we can make some changes in our requirement. So that is the reason, that is the main reason that that's why we use this Agile. In some Agile project, they don't follow some like documentation, like they don't want to do, they don't like to do the documentation thing, like writing the test cases or something like that. So in, even though in that kind of situation, they have something like, not like proper documentation, but they have something that they can follow to test your application. Okay, so this is a decreased time to market, high investment required. So if you're providing something after 2 to 3 months, and after 2 to 3 months, if anything changes in the market, in the real environment, based on that, the product owner can change their mind, right? And that is why we need this Agile. So these are the combinations that we have in SDLC methodologies. So based on this, what I can see, if you see here, in the flexibility, high is here in Agile and Lean. But in one of the cases, everything is same in Agile and Lean, except this one, clear structure. So in Agile, we have a clear structure, but in Lean, we don't have it. That's why most of the projects, they follow Agile. And this is the difference between the Agile and waterfall. So in Agile, they have like SDLC phases in each and every sprint, and in waterfall, they have to wait until they finish the previous phase, and they cannot go back. Here we can go back. And for waterfall, we have to wait certain amount of time to see some output, like for 1 year or 2 years. But in Agile, we can see some output after like 2 to 3 months. And these are the backlogs. So we have usually two kind of backlogs. Sometimes we also have one more backlog that is called a PI backlog or release backlog. But that is not all of the project follows. But in some cases, they have like release backlog, where product backlog is the main backlog. After that, it comes to the release. Each and every release, they have a backlog. And after that, for each and every sprint, they have a backlog. And these are the differences that we already know. So I don't want to waste time here, because I'm just doing a review here. And this is the product backlog, where you'll see all the stories together. And in sprint backlog, you will see the stories here. And based on this one story, there can be like multiple tasks that the developer have to do. And these 6, for example, for this story, there is 6 tasks. For these 6 tasks, the developer can divide that 6 tasks in 4 sprints. Any question here? No, right? Okay. Okay, so now it's a product backlog refinement, or product backlog grooming. So what is that? I have like this, all these features, like all these stories. Now the product owner will come, and based on the priority of this product owner, the stories, the position of this feature can change. So this will become high priority, and this will become low priority. And based on this priority, developers have to work. Okay. And here comes that where you have to work with Jira. So let's say there is a story. There is something like called the product owner says that user supposed to able to log in to the system. Just only this line. And based on this line, I have to prepare some stories. So the stories means that a valid user should able to log into the system. If user forget the password, the user should able to retrieve the password. If user forget the username, then user should able to retrieve the username. There should be a two-factor authentication when the user log into the system. So these are the things that I can add in that main story, and that main story we call that as epic. And based on the epic, on that logging functionality, I have different features, and all these different features might have user stories, and all these user stories might have tasks. So how the developers work? Developer will not take the whole thing like adding the login functionality in the application. No, they will not do that. What they will do, they will make a small piece. They will take a small piece from that the story, and then they will create a task. Okay, so add username text box, as add password text box, add sign in button. Only three things they will add, and they will create a task here. It's very simple, but they will do that, adding these three things in the application. Next task, they will try to add the database thing in their application. So you have a username text box, you have a password text box, you have a sign in, but it's not working. So how it will work? If it's connected to the database, if it's connected to something where it can read the username and password, right? It can validate the username and password. For example, Amazon.com. So when you log in to the Amazon.com, how they're saving your username and password, right? They're doing it. So when you insert the username and password, click on login, it will take you to your user page, your home page. So they set your username and password. When you are trying to log in, they will match your username and password. If it match, then it will take you to your home page. Same thing happens here. So developer created username text box, password text box, and sign in button, but it's not working. To make it work, they have to connect with somewhere so that it can read and can match the data. Okay. So they are basically dividing the task here. Okay. Any question here? No questions? Okay. Now, user story. So before I move into the user story, let's do some hands-on practice. Okay. Do I have this one here? I don't know how many of you are practicing this, but I requested everyone to go to this Jira. I already shared that username and password with all of you. You just need to go to the Jira board, and you will find two projects here. One is SQA and another is American Airlines. So if you want, you can also create your own project and work on that. But there is something already there here in American Airlines, so you can start working here as well if you don't want to create any project. You see that some of the stories are already here, so you can work on here on these stories, or you can create a new task here. Okay, and how you'll create it? Just click on this create button, then it will give you some these options to create, and here it's asking for issue type. What kind of issue you are creating? I want to create a task, or I want to create a story, or I want to create an epic, or I want to create a test. So based on that, you can create. Usually, you don't need to create any epic because the epic will come from the product owner. Story, you also don't need to create the story because the story will be created by the product owner or business analyst, or sometimes developer also create this story. Usually you have to create your task. Task means that what you are going to do. For example, if you are going to test something, so you can create a task here. So what kind of task you are going to do? Just to say that need testing login functionality of American Airlines. Okay, so this is the task that you will do. So you have to create a task here. Then you have to give a description. So what is the full description of this one? So if the user is valid, if the user insert a valid username and password, user is supposed to log into the system. So give some description what you are trying to do here, what is your task here. Just any description is fine. Or if you want to get this task from any story, you can also get the description from there as well, from the story. But try to write it on your way. Okay. Then environment. So the environments that I told you that I will show you, that it's not ready yet to show you. So once it's ready, I will show you that what that environment means and how it works. Okay, I will show you that. Category, right now the category is empty, there is no category. Build is something like okay, so I don't know about the Samsung or Android, but if you're using iPhone, then you might be having the new updated latest release, or what it says that latest update, right, from the iPhone, Apple, and this is 16.
I believe 16.1.
16.1. I think it's 16.0.1, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Jira,
Okay. It's 16.0.2 is the updated one. Okay. So now, if you open that version, what it says that 16.0.2, and in the bracket it says something, right? 20A380. This is the version that I have in my phone. So this is the updated version of Apple. Okay. Now, when you are doing this testing, when you are performing this testing, they will also have something like updated build. Usually, you will see that kind of build here in the corner. In the corner of the page, you might see that kind of build. But if you don't, if in many projects they don't follow that, like the build or version. If they follow, then you have to take the build version from here, somewhere in the bottom here in the application, copy that build and paste it here, and paste it here. So it's build. You don't need to remember anything. You don't need to memorize anything. If you need to follow this build, you can get it from this application. Okay, and if you don't know, you can just ask the developer, so what is the build of this current build that is going on, so they will give you the build number. Okay, if it is not, you can just keep it empty. Or if you don't know anything about that, keep it empty, and the Scrum Master will let you know that you also have to insert the build number. Then you can ask the developer, or you can check the application for the build number and you can edit that. You can do that. It's fine. Initially, you will make mistakes because you don't know anything about that project. Even though if you have done like 10 projects before, this is a new project. And in this new project, everything will be new. And you don't know that what their approach is, how they are doing their work. So you don't know anything about their culture. So you might make mistakes, so which is acceptable. but that doesn't mean that you will continue this mistake for like 2 to 3 months after that as well. No, once you get this one, someone like help you to solve this or help you to don't reproduce this mistake, don't do that. Assigning. So if you see here, because I'm going to work on that, so I will select my name, or you can also click here assign to me, so it will assign to your name. Who is reporter? Because you are creating it, so you will be the reporter. Priority. Usually we put the medium because whatever the task we do is medium only. If there is any high priority work that you have to perform, like is there any like a release going on and you have to work on that like on the first basis, then you have to put the highest or high. But usually we put the medium. There is some label right now. If there is any due date that you have to complete this task within 2 days or 3 days, you have to put these dates. Otherwise, you can let that out, like keep that empty, which is fine. Department, we don't do that. Start date, no. Attachment right now, in that task, you don't need to attach anything here. And if you want to make any connection between your task that you are going to test and the developer task, then you can add the task here. So you are trying to add this relates to which task it relates to. You can also do that. Which task, this task is relates to which story, anything, user login, right? So you can try to do that. You can add that. It will relate to that. Okay, so this is done, and when it's done, just click on create. It will create a new task here in that board. You see that? Now when you will start working, drag it to that in progress. After you're done with your work, then because you are not a like developer, usually you don't need to test your story because you are doing the testing stories, right? So you don't need to keep it here in testing. Just drag it to that done. And in the sprint review meeting, they will ask you about this task that did you complete that? You will say yes, I completed that. I already added my results here, so you can close it. So what they will do, they will just drag that and put it here in accepted. So that is the flow. What you are going to do in sprints?
I have a
Create.
question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so last couple of classes that we practiced, test case, the test cases, right, in Excel. So, and you also said that testers do that in Excel or Jira both. Now, is this something? Hold on, sorry. Is this something that you just showed? Is that the like a test case that we
No, no, no,
did? Something? No, it's a
no,
different
no,
thing.
no. I'm coming to that point now. So this is
Okay,
the task that you have to create because you are not only be just like testing, right? Like
correct.
testing means that writing the test cases. Even though if you are writing the test cases, you have to create a task like this, that you have to write 10 test cases, for example. And if you don't create a story, create a task like this. Okay, let me create here. So it's a task. And what kind of task? You have to create 10 test cases, something like that. Create test, not like you have to write that 10 test cases. You have to write create test cases for this. So you have to mention the names for the test cases, the stories. Okay. So this is the summary, and you have to mention all the test cases, the stories here. Once you're done, you will create the task. The task will be created, right? And then when the task is created here, and now it's time to start working, and you keep that in progress. Now you have to create the test cases, right? Either you can create the test cases in Excel sheet, or you can create the test cases here in Zephyr scale. You see that here? click here in Zephyr skill, and it will take you to this window where you can create test cases here. How? Just click on this new test case. Click on new test case, give a name, what kind of test, which stories that test cases you are creating, give some description. If there is any precondition, like if you need the test data, or if this test is dependent on something else, give some description here for the precondition. Some details, what is the status is usually we put that in a draft because we are creating it. Then priority normal, component is nothing here, owner, who created this one, estimated time, folder. Right now we don't have any folder, but folder will be like different features have a different folders. For that we can select folders here, but right now we don't have any folders. So if you want, you can also create a folder here in Zephyr scale. After that, here is the place. After the details, here is the place test script. This is first step. You have to give what is the step is about. So let me show you. I already have here one. I already have created one to show you that. So this is the one. Okay, so this is the one where you have to give something. So usually when you are creating, you will put it in a draft, and then everything will be same. Then test script. The first step, open the Google Chrome browser. Then there is no test data for that, and the expected result is Google Chrome browser should open, right? Then the second step is go to application website. Test data is this URL. I just give this in a test data, and then expected result is application should be available, right? Third is okay, I didn't put the third one. The third is like if you are trying to click on sign in, so click on sign in, and then there is no test data, and expected is it's supposed to the user is supposed to navigate to that sign in page. If you remember about this one, let me show you. So once you click on sign in, it's supposed to take you to the sign in page, right? So you have to mention the same thing here. So click on sign in. Then there is no test data here. Expected result is user should be navigated to sign in page. And here for the application should be available, you can also say that user should be available to user should be able to should be navigated to application homepage, or you can write automationpractice.com homepage. So it's up to you. Okay, so these are the three steps. Now if I want to do more, insert like username, insert password, click on sign in, you can add the steps here one by one. That the same thing that you did in the Excel sheet, if you remember that. You remember that? You remember that we have that Excel sheet that you created and write that steps there? Yes. So yep, so that's it. So you need to do the same thing, but here if you see, I have only three things. One is step, another column is for test data. If you need anything, like for the next one, I have to insert the username, so I will need the test data there, and then expected result. Only three things. Then it comes to the execution. So you have to execute that, right? So you just have to like write the test cases.
It's much better than the Excel.
Yes, it's better than the Excel. When we have an Excel sheet, then we have to follow some structure. We have to insert some more columns. But when it comes to that Jira, then you have to insert the values for these 3 columns, and then it's for me, I find it's always a funny thing, because this is a test script. You're writing the steps here. After that, you have to go to that execution. You have to click on this test case that we just created. Now you will see something like this, that you can execute this. How? Okay, so open Google Chrome browser. Let's open this Google Chrome browser. So I opened this Google Chrome browser. Now let's go back and click on this tick. Okay, it passed. Now second thing is that I have to use this, go to this website. And when I hit enter, it's supposed to take me to that automationpractice.com homepage, right? So I can see this homepage, so that's means application is live. So step is go to application website. This is the URL. Application should be available, so it's available. So I can say it passed. Next step is I have to click on sign in. Yeah, sign in is available here, so I can click on sign in. And once I click on sign in, it's taking me to the sign in page. That means it's also working. So I'll click on this. That's it. So your execution is passed here. Very simple. And when you go back to your test cases, in all of the test cases, it will give you the list of the test cases, and it will say that it's green. Green means that it's passed. Not this one is active, but this is green, this one. Run.
Did you
It's
have
green.
to click the pass or it automatically happened?
No. You have to click the pass. That is the main
Okay.
thing that I found is funny.
Okay.
Okay, so here, for example, in any of the, it's Google Chrome open, you enter this application URL, but the sign in link is not available. So you will say it's failed. In here, in this step, it failed. So what will happen? The total test case is failed. Got
Is
it?
there anything wrong after executing? If it is not showing us like on green, then the total result test will be red.
Yes. Any point of time, if you find that that step didn't work, then you have to put this as fail, and then the total test case will fail. The total test case will fail. You see here,
Another
it's red.
quick question, like
Yes.
in Excel, we had lots of others column, like expected, uh,
Mhm.
test case result, test data. So we do have only 3 over here in Jira. So over here, any other option we can add more, or this 3 is the
Usually
standard
we don't
function?
need that. Usually we don't need any other thing here.
Perfect. If you don't need that, I'm very okay. Thank you.
Okay, because in this test script, we need this only 3 columns. One thing is the steps, another is test data if there is any needed, and my expected result. On this step, what will be my expected result? Now, when you go for the execution to run this test case, you have to go here and start the execution. And when you start the execution, you have to go step by step. You have to open the Chrome browser. I opened it. Okay, I opened this Chrome browser. Then I click this pass. Then it says that I have to use this URL to go to this website. Okay, so I will use this URL to go to this website. The website is here. The home page is showing up. That's mean also this test is passed. So I'll click on this pass. In the third step, I supposed to see anything like sign in, but it doesn't show up. That's mean that I have to put this cross here, the fail. But if it shows up, then you have to click on that. Once you click on that, you have to think that what is my expected? My expected is it's supposed to show me that login page. It showed me that login page. So I will click on pass here. When you click on the pass, then it's passed. That's it. Simple. Any question here in Jira? Adding the test cases? Okay, so if you don't have any question, I believe all of you have 2 test cases. Till now, we created 2 test cases. Yes, of course, you need practice. That's why I'm giving you some time. Not now. I'm giving you some task here. So you already have a 2 test case. Just write the 2 test cases here. Go to this project page, American Airlines. Then go here in Zephyr scale. Once you click on this one, Zephyr scale, it will show all the test cases that is written under this project. It's taking time. It's showing all the test cases, right? Check if you can create a folder. If you can create a folder, put a name of your name here. Like I can give first name is Ani here, so I will just give a name here. It will create this folder, and inside this folder, just create a test case of your 2 test cases. Just click on new test case, add this 2 test case that you have already in your Excel sheet. Just get it here. Once you get it here, go to that execution and try to execute that. Okay. So in the same, like if the project, okay, so I will not share that information right now. So in the project, you also have to run, you have to also execute the test cases in the same format. You have to write the test cases, and it will be here. Once you are done, then you can execute the test cases. Or let's say that you have created these test cases now, and after 3 months, you have to execute the same test cases again. So you have to come back, and then you have to go to the inside these test cases and do the execution. And once you do the execution, if it's passed, then it will be passed. If it is not, if it is failed, then you have to check that manually again. And if you find any issue, you have to log a defect. Okay. So this is your task that you have to do. You can do that in like next session, before next session. Then I will show you something more here, like test plan, test cycle, something like that. Okay, I'll do some more thing here.
Quick question. You will put everybody's name over here, like as an example, you put Onik, so you'll put my name also over there so that I can find it, or I have to just log into my like user ID and password in the Jira to do this.
Yeah, you can do that. So yeah, I already shared that username and password. So you can just log in with any username and password from there, and you can create a new folder. You see, one person already created the folder, and one person already added some test cases here.
Okay.
Okay, it's a good thing, like you are practicing at the same time.
Perfect.
But we are done with that task. So do you have any question from Jira right now? We'll learn more, don't worry, we'll learn more about the Jira, because this is the main thing that you'll see first in the project. No questions? Okay.
If in the execution time we found any error, we will definitely click on the red icon, but after that, do we have to make any note, like email address I type not valid? It's after typing also not valid email address, the website is accessing me to login page. So this is an developer bug. So that types of note, where
Yes.
should I will be type or something like that.
So if you find some issue, then you always have to go to that main board, or you can click and from anywhere this create button here on the top. So once you click on this create button, then you have to create a bug here. So you should type, it should be a bug.
Oh, exactly like a task I have to
create a bug, yes.
Create
And
an
you have to give
and then
summary
create a bug. Okay.
that invalid user.
Got it. Then I have to explain elaborately. Yes.
Yes, it's a first you have to put the summary. So invalid user able to log in, then give some description that if user insert invalid username in the username text box with a valid password or anything with valid password, then user is able to log in. Okay, this is the description. Now after this description, you have to provide the steps, how the developer, what the steps that developer have to follow to create this bug. So you have to type this way: steps to reproduce. Steps to reproduce. Once you do that, just give it steps one by one. Okay, first open. Usually we don't do that. Open to Google Chrome because it's a very simple thing. Directly go to that application. Second is insert invalid username. Insert valid or any password. Click on login button. Okay, so until that, this is your steps. Now the next thing is, what your actual now? Your actual is user is able to log in, right? Which is a defect, which is a bug. And what is my expectation? Expected is user invalid user should not be able to log in. And once you're done, these are the same thing. Like, what is this a severity? Like, is this a very like high severity? Okay, severity part I will come later. But is this something like the very important thing that the developer has to fix? Anyone?
Yes, it's very high risk.
Is a very high risk, right? So it's supposed to. So this should be high. Then the priority. The priority is the highest. So I will come to that severity later. That what is this severity is. Then the bill, when like after which bill you find this issue. So give that any bill number if you have. Then environment. What is the environment? Environment. Which environment? Usually we do the test environment. So you have to write the test environment here. And then due date is no reporter. That is one thing. This is assignee. So usually this login functionalities is done by only one developer. So you have to add the developer here. Let's say that this sample user 7 is a developer who developed this login functionality and it's failing. So you have to assign this to that developer. If in your team have a test lead or QA lead, something like that, so usually they pass this one, like they assign the developer. If not, then you can also assign the developer directly. So you have to understand the culture, you have to understand the environment. Are you able to do that? If you are, then you should do that. So once you're done, remember one thing. This is the main thing here, not the main thing, but one of the important thing here. You also have to attach the screenshot that when you insert the wrong, like invalid username, click on login, it's taking you to the user homepage. So you have to take a couple of screenshots and attach it here.
As
Once
a proof.
Sorry.
As a proof, I have to attach the screenshot.
Yes. You have to show the proof because no one will be like, okay, the developer might say that I don't agree with that. It's working. The developer might say that, can say that, right? So you have to show the proof to the team, to the developer, that it's not working. So it's one of the mandatory thing for the bug that you are attaching the screenshot. So couple of things: summary, making that issue type as a part, especially this one, description, where you have to show the steps, how you can reproduce, the developer can reproduce that bug. Then where do you find this bug? Test environment or somewhere else, but usually we are allowed to only test in test environment, so you have to put the test here. This is a high priority. Based on that priority, you can talk with your team members in the beginning. After that, when you are you'll be working for like a couple of months, then you will understand that what will be the high priority, what will be the low priority. So it's fine. Then build, then the who is the assignee, so you have to assign the developer. Then you can also relate to the task that developer worked on that. And one of the important things is screenshot. You have to add the screenshot. Once you're done, click on create. And once it's created, then the developer will take that story and start working on that. So now it's time for the developer to work on, not yours. So developer, when the developer is working, it's an in progress. If the developer is done with the working, then they will put that in here for testing. Then you have to go back and test this one again. So you have to test this again to check if the developer fixed that issue or not. If yes, then you can keep it in and done. But if it is not, then you have to move back to that in progress. Got it?
Thanks. Yes, got it.
Okay. Any question here? Creating a bug, something like that? Any question from Jira? Okay, I'm not getting answer from all of you, but it's still fine. I'm getting some. That means that you are understanding that what we are doing here. Okay, so this is the thing that you have to do. I will prefer for everyone that you should go and create the test script here, because if you don't do that here, if you go to the project, if you go and they will ask you to create a test script in the Jira, then you will be in a trouble, because you have to create the test case in like a couple of hours. How will you do that if you don't know anything about that script? And this is a plugin of Jira. They might have something else, so some other application they might be using for writing the script. So it is fine if you know how to work with one application. It's almost the same thing. You have to write the script for another application. And another most popular application called is X-ray. So this is Zephyr and another is X-ray. So either one you might get in your project. But if not, if they're following the Excel sheet, unfortunately you have to create Excel sheet with all these steps and description and summary, test case number, everything. Okay. Now let's go back to that Excel sheet. So user stories, right? So user story is basically, if you see this one, it's epic and user stories. The epic is the like a combination of multiple user stories. If you see here, the main idea of anything is, you can call that as an epic, and from there, from that epic, you can create multiple features. Like I already, as I already mentioned that about that login functionality. Login functionality can be very simple. If user insert valid username, if user insert valid password, click sign in, it will take you to the user homepage. But if user forget the username, if user forget the password, if user want to do that two-factor authentication, so these are the different features. So based on this feature, they can create multiple stories, and the stories, based on the stories, The developer will create the task. So it's possible for one feature or for one story there will be multiple tasks. So any question on this epic and user stories? Let's get this example here. So the user story is, as an account manager, I want a sales report of my account to be sent to my inbox daily so that I can monitor the sales progress of my customer portfolio. So that this account manager wants a report daily to see that the customer portfolio, that the progress of the customers, right? Sales of this product. Now, what will be the acceptance criteria? So they say that they need this, but there will be some acceptance criteria of this user stories. So what are they? The report is sent daily to my inbox. This is one of the acceptance criteria. This is manager asking, or the product owner is asking that the report should be generated daily. The report contains the following sales details. So there will be like some specific items will be used here in the story that should be added in the report. The report is in CSV format or Excel format or Microsoft Word format or any other format or PDF format. So they will mention that here. So these are the requirement. Based on the story, I have some requirement. And usually what we say on this story, I have some requirement. We don't call that as a requirement. We call that acceptance criteria. So if your story, when you are done, if your product, if your application is producing these three things, then I will accept this. Otherwise, I will not. I'm talking too much, right? Okay, let me clear it again. So let's say this is the user story that the developer needs to work on. And what the developer did, developer made some small pieces this user story, like developer at first will create a report, and developer will try to send the report daily. Developer will add some specific column in that report. So these are some specific tasks the developer will do separately. Once it's done, then the developer will merge all this together and see if this is working or not. So if this is working, then the application should send the report daily. The application should have some specific columns, and the application should send the report in a specific format. Okay. So based on that, I have an acceptance criteria. In all of these acceptance criteria are fulfilling. Is there anything going over your head, like you are not understanding anything, whatever I'm talking? Or any question? Nope. Okay. So again, this is the story, and based on the story, I might have like multiple tasks, and based on the task, it can be done by like different developers or the same developer, or they can also add the tester's name there, add the task there, who will be do that testing for the task. So this is a board usually to do in progress and done. So based on that story, they have to work on this task and they have to follow this one, this approach. Okay. And I already started this functional and non-functional testing. And you already have done these things. What kind of testings are there? Unit testing, smoke site testing, sanity testing, integration testing. I added some more here, but if you remember that we give an example of integration testing, but I found a very good example here. So the unit testing is the like small piece of your cycle, like for example your wheel. is a small piece that you are testing, is round or not, it's properly rotating or not. So this is the unit testing that you do on that. And then you are integrating all of your equipment of that cycle, putting it together and doing the testing, like putting 2 or 3 things together and testing it. So you are doing integration. After you're putting everything, integration testing is done, then you are doing system testing, that you are riding that cycle in the road and checking the brake, checking the speed, checking the bell, checking the alignment. So these are your system testing. So that you are testing, you are doing. Once your testing is done, then your product is ready for the sale. So when customer comes, they check that cycle, they do the test drive, means that test, they do the ride, and then if they find that everything is okay, then they accept it, right? So I find that this is a good example for that integration testing. So do you have any question here in integration testing? Nope. Okay. For the regression testing, it's at 8:12. So usually I give one example for that regression testing that will help you to understand more about the regression, because this is one of the important testing that you will perform. Because when you will be writing the automation script, your script will be based on your regression test. Regression test means that whatever test is already done and it passed. So this all goes under regression test. Okay, so we'll be doing that. So let's do one thing. Let's take a break, and after the break, we'll continue. Okay, we'll continue and we'll do that regression testing. Like we'll do some practice on the regression testing. Okay. So it's 8:30. Let's take a break until 25, 20, 35. 35 is fine, right? Let's take a break until 35, 8:35. Okay, so let's go back. It should be 8:35.
This conference will now be recorded.
Do you have any question for me? Am I going too fast? We didn't start anything new yet, right? We're still covering the old things. From here is supposed to the new one started. Okay. So the thing that usually I draw, let's say this is our release one. Okay, release one, the first release, the very first release. It's a very new team, new project. Then from there we'll have release. This is release one. Okay. This is product backlog. This is release one, and in this release I have 4 sprints. One, it's very big, I don't need that much. 2, 3, and 4. Now from this product backlog, let me write it here. Product backlog, this is release one. So from this product in the product backlog, I have, for example, like 1,000 requirements that we have to work to complete this project. For example, 1,000 requirements. And from this, all these 1,000 requirements for the first release to work on this like first 2 months. In the release one, I took only, for example, 15. Okay, 15, 12, 15. And from this 15, developer need to work on like they will work for the first time. They will work on 3. Then the next one they will 4. Then 4 again. Then I believe 4 again. So this is the way how they will work and complete that release, right? Complete the target for the release. After the release, after this sprint 4, this is sprint 1, this is sprint 2, this is sprint 3, and this is sprint 4. Now after this sprint 4, they are going to release the product, and product is look like something like this. This is something like they are releasing. At least the product owner will see something. Now again, after that, the same thing will happen here in the release 2. So they have something in release 2, the backlog. Like in this case, they are more confident. They took like 20. Okay, they took 20, and based on that, they'll work on defined sprint. Now we'll understand our smoke sanity and this is extra. Smoke sanity and regression from here. Let's say that we have to test these 3. This is the very first time that you are testing. So you can write your answer in the chat box, and you should send it only to me. Don't share your answer with everyone. So can anyone tell me, so how many of sanity testing we have to perform here, or smoke testing or regression in sprint 1? Here, this is my location right now. This is the location. I am here in this position. So how many sanity tests, smoke test, and regression test I have to perform after the developer is done with the development? Okay, I got.
Repeat the question again. Sorry for that.
Okay, the question is, right now we are working here in sprint 1, release 1, sprint 1. We are here in this position, and the developer already done working with these 3 tasks. Now as a tester, you have to test it. Now here you have to tell me that how many sanity, how many smoke, and how many regression tests we have to perform here.
Okay, got it.
I got only 2 answers till now. Even though you are wrong, just try. Give any answer. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I didn't. Okay. Okay. Let me clear you one more time, and then I will ask you the question again. So this is the first 3 tasks that we have to perform. This is the first 3 tasks, right? This is the first 3 tasks that the developer have done with working, and then we have to perform the testing. And from these 3 tasks, let's say that this is the major, like this is one of the important. This falls under the important or major functionality. Now, my question is again, I got some answers from you, and some of you shared that answer with all of you, like with everyone. So I will request you to answer only with me, like send that answer only to me. Now answer it again. How many of you think like it would be like, how many of you here we have to perform smoke test, sanity test, and regression test? Right now our position is here. Okay. Any other person wants to change their answer from? Okay. 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 I think you most of you have a misconcept about this one. So let me clear it. So because this is our first sprint, because this is the first time that we are testing this task, so even though this is a major functionality, we will test that all of this as a test that as like sanity testing. All of three of them will be fall under sanity testing because we are here. Our position right now is here in sprint 1, release 1, sprint 1. This is our position. So in this position, we got three tasks that we have to test. Even though there is a one major functionality that we are already testing it. Yes, that is correct. So that we already testing it, going to test it, right? No problem. So that we are, because we are going to testing it. So even though if it's a major functionality and we are testing it, so we don't need to like keep it separate for smoke testing. Because it's already we are going to test it as like falls under sanity testing or the testing that we are going to perform to test this task, right? So it's not become the smoke testing yet. So it's still, yep, no problem. So this is a place where you will make mistake and you will find the issue and you will like figure out that how you can make improve, right? Improvement. So you have to do that. No problem. Now this is our sprint 2, and in sprint 2 we have only one task, only one test that falls under smoke test, right? Let me write M here, major functionality. Now we are here in sprint 2. In sprint 2 we have to test these four, and out of these four I have this one is a major functionality. Let me take this up, and also this one major functionality. So I have two tasks that falls under major functionality and all other like I have to test it. Now you have to answer me that here in sprint 2 when we are testing, how many will be falls under smoke test, how many sanity, and how many regression. Right now your position is here in sprint 2, release 1, sprint 2. This is your position, that this is the place that you are now. Currently you are working in sprint 2. Now you have to answer me how many will be smoke test, how many will be sanity test, and how many will be regression test. Okay, let me check the answers. I got 5 answers. Okay. No, you're not right, Mr. Mijan. So I will talk about that. No problem. Safrin, you answered only for the sanity, not for others. Anila, no, you are not also right. I will talk about that. Suffering again. Yes, for sanity, your number is correct, but you also have to tell me about the smoke and depression. Onik, your no, you are also not. Answer is not correct. Beauty. No, your answer is also almost there. So your answer, I don't know that what does this mean. So you have to mention at least something as a for sanity, as M for smoke or something like that. And suffering again, you are almost there. So okay, let me give you the answer here. Okay, one last answer I got here is no, you are almost there, Nasida. So let me clear it. So right now your position is here in sprint 2. In sprint 2, you are testing 4 tests, which is you're considering sanity test. The people who answer 4 sanity, they are right. Now, major testing, like smoke testing. Smoke testing means that the major functionality. The major functionality, the sprint in sprint 2, you have a major functionality, but that is you're already testing it in under sanity. So you don't need to test it as separately again as a, like smoke testing, right? You don't need to do that. So how many smoke tests we have before this sprint 2? Only one, right? Only one. Yes, that is correct. So only one smoke test we have before this sprint. Now before this sprint, how many total tests we have before this sprint 2? How many total tests we have? 3. That is mean that this 3 is regression. All the test cases that you have tested before, that falls under regression. All the test cases, if there is any major functionality that falls under these test cases, you have to perform that smoke test on that. That is the smoke testing. Okay, only that test cases. Okay, so I think you got the idea. Let me try again with this one in sprint 3. For sanity, for regression. No, you are again wrong. So for sanity, but not for regression. 3 regression. You see that? For sanity here, because right now you are here in sprint 2. You are working in sprint 2. So you have a 4 sanity, 3 regression. All of your previous test cases is 3 regression and 1 smoke, because there is one major functionality in the sprint 1. Now in sprint 3, I have, let's say I have, this one is a major functionality, only one, let's say. Now you are testing in sprint 3. Now you have to give me the answer for sprint 3. How many are for sanity? How many you are going to test as smoke? And how many will be for regression? The people who are not like participating on this, I request you to do that. It will help you to understand. Okay, so I got one answer, and that is like again you are wrong, Safrin. Beauty. I think sanity, for sanity part is correct, but the other one for the smoke is wrong. Beauty. Okay. Onik, your answer is almost there, except the smoke part. But don't answer in like to share your answer with everyone, because they can see it. So don't answer in that way. They will copy your answer. Okay, now no, Mr. Mizan. So your answer is also wrong. Only the sanity part is correct. No, Anila. So same thing. Only the sanity part is correct. Suffering, suffering that 11. You mean that 11 for regression? If yes, then you are wrong. Nasita, for sanity. You are also wrong, Nasita. So you are just only the sanity part is correct. Reason I already told you that is your sanity part is also only correct, and the other smoke and regression you have to look at that again. Suraya, all the answers not wrong. Only the smoke is correct, Suraya. So your smoke is correct, but all other answers are wrong. So you have to check it. Yes, Saprin. So if you are saying it's a regression, then you are wrong. Anila, yes, Anila, 7 for that one is correct. Mizan 7 is correct. Beauty again, it is, yes, now almost there. Smoke is not correct. And Mr. Mizan again, the smoke is wrong. Okay, so we are done. So let's do that now. So right now we are working in sprint 3. In sprint 3 we have 4 tests, and Nasita, your answer is wrong. So we have 4 tests. In 4 tests, even though there is one major functionality, but we are performing our testing on all of these 4. That is meant we are doing the sanity testing. So sanity testing, you have to remember, you have to understand the sanity testing. What is the sanity testing is? Nasita, your answer is again wrong. Sanity testing means that if there is a new feature or if there is a bug fixes. So we are not covering yet the bug fixes. I will come to that point later. But let's say that the sanity is for the new features. So for the sanity, you are doing everything correct. Almost everyone is right. For the smoke, you see that before sprint 3, how many we have the major functionalities? How many major functionalities we have here in sprint 1 and sprint 2? Only 3, right? In sprint 1 I have only 1, and in sprint 2 I have only 2. That is mean that before this sprint 3 I have only 3 major functionalities to check, 3 test cases, right? So that 3 falls under smoke testing. Now the regression testing, whatever we have before the sprint 3, all the test cases falls under regression testing. So how many test cases we have before this S3 sprint 3? 7. You
7.
see that? Sorry?
No, go ahead.
No. So 7 means that in sprint 1 we have 3. In sprint 2 we have 4. That means total 7. So total 7 test cases falls under regression test. Now will be in a sprint 4. I believe no one will make any mistakes anymore. Let me do this one, and then now we are here in sprint 4. In sprint 4 I have also, like let's say that why there is no smoke if we are here in sprint 3 we have 3 smoke testings, right, to perform. If we are here in sprint 3, if we are here in sprint 3, before this sprint 3 I have 3 test cases that's covering 3 major functionalities. So we have to perform these 3 test cases before we perform the regression testing. Am I right? Okay. So now we are here in sprint 4. In sprint 4 we have to make some major functionalities. Let's say this is our one of the major functionalities. This is also falls under major functionalities. Now we have 2 here. Now let's go back, and now this is our position in sprint 4. We are working in sprint 4 now. Now you have to tell me how many we have for sanity, how many we have for smoke, and how many we have for regression. Mr. Mijan, you're right, but you're missing smoke. You have to answer that smoke as well. Beauty, your answer is correct. Safreen, your answer is also correct. Anyone else? No, Suraya. So none of them are right. You have to check it again. Mr. Mijan, your smoke test number is wrong. Nasita, your answer is correct. Anik, your answer is wrong in smoke and sanity as well. Only the regression part is correct. Okay, so let's do it again. The smoke test is basically, if you have like a lot of test cases before, don't check this M. Okay, don't think about this M here right now. So if you don't see any M here and you are in sprint 4, in total, no, Anik, so your smoke is correct, your sanity, regression is correct, but your sanity is wrong. And Suraya, your smoke is wrong, sanity also wrong, regression also wrong. No, not 3 smoke. Okay, let me clear it again now. So the thing is, you are here in sprint 4. Now when you are here in sprint 4, now you have to look at back and check how many test cases you created before, how many tests you had done before. So in total, how many you have? 3 and 4, that is 7. 7 plus 4 is 11. So in total, you have total 11 test cases that you have created before this sprint 4. So all these 11 test cases goes to that regression test. Now, from all these 11 test cases, out of these 11 test cases, you have a 4 test cases that falls under, that's cover the major functionality. So that 4 falls under smoke testing. Smoke testing is to check the major functionality of the application. Okay, so that's why I say that this task is major functionality. This 2 falls under major functionality. The first one is falls under major functionality. So you have to think whatever you did before. So your smoke and regression is based on your previous work, not the current work. The current work is only you're performing the testing, regular testing, which is, you can also call that as sanity testing. You got the idea? Anyone have any question?
Yes.
So, yeah, go ahead. That's
No,
fine.
please go ahead. Go ahead, Safri.
No, I just wanted to just confirm that for sanity, it's sanity no matter what. But before that, it can be regression and it can be smoke, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good.
I am very much clear about sanity and regression. So whatever the sprint number we are going to be perform the test, that number will be the sanity. Like the sprint 4, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 sanity. And the regression, whatever we did the previous task, all combinedly we have to work on the sprint 4. So number is sprint 1, 2, 3. We have total 11. That one is the regression. That's
Mhm.
completely okay for the sprint 4. So for the smoke, this one I'm getting slightly confusion. So for the smoke, we have to check only the task, the major task we did before. So
Major
it's
functionality that cover the test cases.
okay, major functionality that cover the test cases. So
Mhm.
for the sprint 4, the smoke number will be how much? Is
Okay, let me get it in other way. So in sprint 1, how many major functionalities you have?
3.
No, in sprint 1.
By sprint 1, we have only 2 over here.
No, it's in sprint 1, how many major functionalities was there? In that?
1.
Only 1. In sprint 2, how many you have major functionalities?
Major functionalities will be 2 for the sprint 2.
And in sprint 3?
3.
No, sprint 3.
Sprint 3, we are going to be having 1 then again.
Only one is major functionalities, right? That we are going to test here. So whatever you have before this sprint 4, that falls under the major functionalities, that test cases that cover the major functionalities, that goes to the smoke testing. Not clear yet? Okay. So you have to find out the major functionalities, right? So you know that the regression testing, right? I have like total 11 regression tests. Because we are in release 1, so it's 11. But if you are going forward and you are in release 10, then your regression will be like more than 200. That's it. And in this 200, if you check all these 200, including everything like major and non-major functionalities, then after like a couple of hours performing, or maybe couple of days, you will see that the major functionalities are failing. Then the Scrum Master will tell you that why didn't you check the major functionalities before? So that's why we check the major functionalities before, that if it's working or not with the new feature that we work on the sprint 4. That's why we perform the smoke testing before we run the regression test, because regression testing is to run all the testing with all the major non-major functionalities, but smoke testing, that falls under only the major functionalities. Got it? No? Okay. Okay, so let's say in sprint 1, I have 3 tasks. Out of these 3 tasks, there is a 1 task for signing. That is one of the major functionality of your application. Yes, that is true, to make the regression easier. So how many smoke we have on S4? So in S4, we have a smoke for 4 smoke testing. Okay, I will come to that point. Just give me a second. So in the S1, in the sprint 1, the developer working on the login functionality, that is one, the major one, and the other things are there, like adding some picture or something like that in that other 2 tasks. And in sprint 2, they have added the card, they have added some product with the, like let's say that the price and some other functionalities. So these are 2 major functionalities they worked on in that sprint 2. In sprint 3, they have added the checkout, and other 3 are like modifying something in the page or adding something new in the page, but that doesn't fall under the major functionalities. It means that even though that will fail, the application will work according how it should work. Like it should log into the system, it should add product to the card, it should go to the checkout. So it should do everything. So when I'm here in sprint 4, I'm testing these new features in sprint 4. After that, before I run my regression test, which is like a lot of regression tests, it is better to check the major functionalities first, if it is working or not. So the new functionalities, which have some which have 2 major functionalities, like 2 smoke tests falls under that, but it's not here. So one of them are like, for example, adding a credit card, or another is adding an address, which is like a major functionalities. Now, before this one, I have to check that if the previous things are working, like the login is working. If the login is working, then the customer should add the product in the cart. Then the customer should able to do the checkout, and after the checkout, they can add the address or the credit card. So it's a flow, and you have to check the major functionalities first. So if there is any picture and it's not working, it's fine. Like it's not blocking you to access that application or to do the job of your application, right? That is not falls under the major functionalities. But these things are falls under major functions that you have to test it before you run your regression. And why we do that? If you see this is a release 1, that's why you have only 11 test cases that falls under regression. But if you're in release 10 or 20, there will be like 200 or 500 regression test cases. So if you're going to run all these test cases and after like a day or 2 days, you will find some test cases are failing, and that test cases are basically one of them, a couple of them are like a very major functionalities are failing. So that is why before you run the regression, we should run the test that covers the major functionalities. Because the normal test cases, if it's failing, the normal functionalities, if it is failing, they can fix it later. But if the major functionalities is failing, they have to fix it here. The login, if it's failing here, they have to fix it here. If the cart is failing, they have to fix it within this sprint before the release. This is the release side. Before the release, they have to do that. So that's why after the sanity, we check the smoke and then we go for the regression. It's clear? We'll do more practice, then I think it will be clear for you.
So when we do the sanity testing at the same time, we don't need to do the smoke test if we found major function.
When you perform the sanity testing and after you're done with your testing, the sanity testing, then you go for the smoke. And after the smoke, then you go for the regression.
Okay.
So there is a sequence because the new functionalities you have to test it first. And after the testing the new functionalities, then you go for the previous test cases that falls under the smoke test. So you have to test it then. And after the smoke testing is working fine, then you will go for the regression test. Okay. Okay, so now let's do this one here again. So we are here in release 2. We are here in release 2. In release 2, I have this sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4, and in sprint 1, I have like couple of test cases, and in sprint 2, I have, okay, let's talk about the sprint 1 first. So right now I'm in sprint 1, and in sprint 1, I have like only one major functionality. That's it. Now in release 2, after the sprint 1, tell me that how many sanity tests you have to perform, how many smoke, and how many regression after the sprint 1. Release 2, sprint 1, how many regression, how many smoke, and how many sanity? Yes, Safrin, sanity part is correct. No, sanity is not correct, Mr. Mijan. So you have to check the sanity, how many test cases you have to test. Yeah, that is correct now.
So we are in sprint 2, right?
No, in sprint 1, here. Right now we are here in sprint 1. Release 2, sprint 1.
So does release 1 has connection with release 2? Release T was not 1 was not final, right? So it will add up with the release 2?
It is interconnected because
Oh, I see. Okay.
based on your functionalities, you are moving forward, right? You are adding new features. You are working on the new things, right? And it's adding to your old the same application, right?
Okay.
Connected.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Onyx, your answer is sanity. For sanity is correct, and other two are wrong. because I said that you have to think about all of your previous thing. Smoke, yeah, that is correct, Safrin. Suraya, let me check that here. No, Suraya. So you have to check it again. Your all the answers are wrong. Regression is 16. I think it's 15. I think it's 15. No. Okay, I'll check that later. But sanity, for sanity is correct. Anila, your smoke one is wrong. Answer for the smoke is wrong, Anila. Nashita, your answer is correct for all of them. Sanity, smoke, and regression. Yes, that is correct. Safrin, your regression answer is correct. Anila, your regression answer is almost correct. Just check it out how many test cases you have before this sprint one. Beauty, your answer. Yes, everything is correct here. Simjan, your smoke is again wrong. Just count how many you have here. Before this sprint one, how many major functionalities we tested before? We have it before. In sprint one, we have one. In sprint two, we have two. In sprint three, we have one. In sprint four, we have two. So how many in total in sprint? Release two, sprint one. You have to check it. Okay, so
I have a question.
yes, go ahead.
So in release, after release, why you need to do the test again in first release? Because we have done all the test cases here.
Okay, so in the first release, you worked on login functionalities, and then in the second release, you are still working on login functionalities, but it's kind of like you are resetting the password or forgetting the username, something like that. It's something new task is adding, but it's still related to your old functionality. So you have to test that as well, right? Right?
Yeah, because
Um,
I'm kind of confused because before release, we have done all the test cases. So now we had to do it again because it's related to the sprint two. I
It's
mean,
related
release
all
two.
the time. Yes, all the time. It will be related to your upcoming test cases all the time.
Okay, so no matter how many release we have done before, we had
No.
to regression do it
Yes.
again.
Yes. So every time you move forward, all the test cases are adding to your regression.
Okay.
So whatever you're doing today, it is your past. It will be your past tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same thing. Whatever you're testing today, the test cases you have today, it will be your regression tomorrow. So Onik, your answer is correct. Yes, correct. And Mr. Anila, your answer is right. Mr. Mizan, your answer is for smoke is wrong. Let me clear it again. I'm here in the release 2 and sprint 1. So here my regression tests are all of my previous test cases. So all of my previous tests, how many test cases we have? 15, right? All of my previous I have 15. So all falls under regression. Now in sprint 1, I am working on 5. That falls under, let's say, sanity testing. And before this, in regression, in all of these 15, I have to find out how many test cases we have for smoke. So in all these four, like previous release, all these 15 test cases, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 falls under smoke testing. Okay. You got it? No, not 7, not 7. It's 6. So you have to count until before this sprint, until before this one. Until before this sprint 1, you have total 6. So you'll be clear here in sprint 2. Yes, Anila, that is correct. Okay, let's say that in sprint 2, I have 2 tasks to complete, and none of them are falls under major functionalities. Now you have to consider that you are here. You have to consider that you are here. Now tell me how many you are performing sanity, how many regression, and how many smoke. Beauty, your answer is correct. Safrin, your answer is wrong, because you have to connect your previous release also. Mr. Mijan, your answer is correct. You see that? Now you got that idea about the smoke test. Onik, your answer is for regression is not correct. Nasita, your answer is correct. No problem. Any more answers coming? Anila, your answer is correct. Yes. Safin, your answer is correct. No, Anik. So sanity is correct. So in this sprint, you are testing these two. But for the regression, whatever you have previously, you don't have to count the current one. You don't need to count the current one. So whatever you have before this sprint. So in the first one, we have 3, second 4, which is means 7 in total. In sprint, we have 4, which is mean 11 in total. In sprint 4, we have a 4, which is mean 15 in total. And in the second release, sprint 1, I have 5. So 15 plus 5 is 20. So when you are working in sprint 2, that's mean your regression, total regression test cases are 20, and you have a 2 sanity tests, and the smoke tests are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got it, Anik? Suraya, your answer is for smoke is correct, but sanity is also correct, but for regression is not. Suraya, your smokes. No, regression. Okay, so regression is whatever you did before, everything, all. All means that all, whatever you have before, all of them. So how many you can see here? In first release we have 15. In the second release, first sprint, we have 5. So 15 plus 5 is 10, 20. So when you are here in the sprint 2, then you are performing 20 test cases as a regression test. Got it? Yeah, I will do that in sprint 3 as well. So you are getting it funny, right? Okay, so let's do that here. In sprint 3, I had, let's say, like 5. In this 5, I have this one and this one as a major functionality. Now let's consider that you are here in sprint 3, and now you have to give me the answer for smoke, sanity, and regression. Beauty, your answer is correct. Your answer is correct. Suffering, your answer is also right. Semijan, your answer is for smoke. No. So you are here in sprint 3, so you don't need to count the major functionalities from here. Don't consider this too, because you are already testing it under sanity. Yes, that is correct now. Anila, your answer is correct. Nasita, your answer is also correct. Okay, so you are getting it, right? So one last here. Riza, if your answer is also right. No, not right. Not right. So nothing is right actually. So as smoke, you are here in sprint 3. So whatever you have, the major functionalities like 6 here and 1 here. The 7. 7 is for smoke. Sanity, whatever you are testing in your current one. So I have 5. So 5 is sanity. And regression is all of your previous test cases, everything. Previous, not the current one, previous. That's mean like 15 from here and 7 from here. That's mean 22. Got it? Okay. Let's do one last release. Then we will get the release for today. I think so. So in this one, let me add only one major functionalities here. And now consider that you are here in sprint 4. Now you have to give me the answer for regression, smoke, and sanity. Beauty, your answer is, let me check your answer. Yeah, that is correct for, yeah, that is correct, Beauty. So your answer is right. Strington, your 27 regression, and then 679. Yeah, that is correct, Mr. Milan. So you are right with that smoke this time. Safin, your answer is also correct. Yes, it's also correct. I think your sanity looks good, smoke looks good, but regression doesn't look good. So the regression, don't consider the current one. Now send me the answer again. Nasita, your answer is correct. Neela, your answer is correct. Correct, yes, correct. Manik, you have to send me the answer again for the regression. Yes, now you're right. You got that, right? You got that, how it works. Okay. So now after this is our release. We do the release here. We do the release here. And after this release, it goes as the same. It goes for it was before like release 1 and 2. So I'm not going to do that release 3 here because it's gonna take time. Release 3, okay? So it goes in that format. So every time you move forward, whatever the test cases you have done before, that falls under regression. And all of this regression, some of the test cases covers your major functionalities, so which falls under smoke. And whatever you're doing, that is sanity. So I will come to the point, just give me a second. Reason if your smoke should be 9, because you should not count the sprint 4 method here. So that is the only thing that you have to change. So when you are here in sprint 4 and you are testing the smoke testing, you are doing the smoke testing, you have to think about all of your previous test cases which falls under smoke testing. Okay, no problem. Okay, so we got that idea about the how it works, and also in sanity testing, let's say that here in sprint 3 you find a defect. You find a defect here in sanity testing. You find a defect. If your developer fix that here in sprint 4 or in next release is sprint 1 and in sprint 2, somewhere it fixed there. So when you're performing the testing on this one, that's also falls under sanity testing. Okay, so sanity testing, the definition is the new features as well as if there is a fix and you are testing it, so it falls under sanity testing. Okay, so I believe you don't have any issue with these three kind of testing, right? I believe so. Now we cannot cover a lot of things today, but we understood that different kind of testing, I think, which will help you and me as well. So the system testing, I already defined that in the previous session, and how the system testing and integration testing look like. Integration, you are like mapping with 2 dots or 3 dots, but system testing, you are mapping with all of the dots. So that is kind of like end-to-end testing as well. So that is we do system testing. So I will I have one more slide on the end-to-end testing, so I will show you later. UAT testing is kind of like after the development is done, after the QA, the testers, the testing is done, someone do the testing again, and the people that who do that testing are product owner or business analyst. So they are doing it in a place that is called UAT. After that is passed, then it goes for the real user. So again, we didn't started. Okay, so let me just cover only these 3 slides and we are done. Okay, done for today. This is stress testing and load testing. Both of them falls under the performance non-functional testing. As I already told you, non-functional testing means that the performance testing, the network testing, security testing, stress testing, load testing, these are falls under non-functional testing. So in non-functional testing, most of the time, you might get, even though if you don't have that, if you don't know that, sometimes people will ask, okay, so what is stress testing and load testing? Sometimes. So stress testing, you see here, if you just understand only 2 of them, then you will understand this difference between these 2. Here it says that uses a large amount of requests. You can use a large amount of requests, like for example, 100,000 users are accessing that Amazon.com. So that is stress testing. And in load testing, uses a known moderate amount of requests, like for example, like you want to put like 20,000 users at a time. So this is kind of like load testing, 20,000 at a time. After a couple of seconds or 10 seconds, you are doing putting 20,000 more. So it's kind of like moderate amount of requests you are sending to that application. And no, that is that is true, but that is also here in stress testing. Suddenly dumps high volume of figures. Like if you want to put all of them together, and here it's slowly like 20, then 20, then 30, then 40. So it goes until that specific amount of like users, until it goes to that point. It put that users at that like 10 seconds or 20 seconds, something like that. So in the frequently is putting that load. So that is a load testing and that is a stress testing. And usually if you understand only these 2, then it is fine. Then you will be fine of testing, talking about these 2 testing. And in some of the testing, I keep this this couple of things. That one of the thing is like 5-way testing. Usually in the government project, you will find this kind of testing, that is 5-way testing, or banking projects, they also do that 5-way testing. So what is 5-way testing? 5-way testing is basically disability testing. So let's say that I'm blind, but I want to access your website. How I'll do that? If you know that you already have that in your phone, but you might not have like tested that, we have an option called accessibility in our settings. If you go to that accessibility, and if you turn it on, then wherever you put your finger on, it will talk that where your finger is. It will talk back. So that option in the phone we have, that is called talkback option. So that is for the disabled person who cannot see the phone, the display, where visibility disabled. So in that kind of situation, they have this kind of option, like accessibility option for this kind of people. Okay, so for that thing, for you have to test it so that the disabled person can access your application, and for that reason we have a 5-way testing. For this kind of testing, they also have like a certification. So if you think like it's a like lot of things that you have to read, until unless it's very necessary, don't go for that the certification until or unless, because it will take like a lot of time from you to read how many page, more than 500 pages maybe, I think so. So you have to read that book and you have to take the test. So for some people it takes like 2 to 3 months. So don't do that until or unless it's necessary, because in the government project they ask for this kind of testing. But I will show you one yes, but I will show you there is one application. By using that application, you can do the testing. In the interview, you can just talk about that. Okay, so for disability testing, I use that tool to test that 5-way testing. Just that's it. It's very simple. I will show you later. Pair testing. Pair testing is kind of like two testers are working together to test a single test case. So that is a pair testing. Okay, two testers sitting together, working on the same machine, working on the same test case to do the testing. Usability testing, usually we don't do that. We don't need that actually, so it's fine. So it's kind of like a user experience testing. So you have to think about like you are a user, you are a real user. So you are a tester, but you have to feel like, you have to think like you are a real user. So that is like a usability testing. Okay, next is end-to-end testing. This is one of the important thing you need to know. End-to-end testing is basically, if you remember this page, when you insert email address and it's taking to this page, you are inserting value here. If you are clicking register, it's saving your information, right? Somewhere. Now you have to check that if you're done from your here, from the front in, from the user interface, if you're done from here, browser side, then you have to check it from the back side, that if it's saving your data properly or not. Let's say that I kept my name, first name, let's say Zakir, and last name Hossein. Let's say this is my first name and last name. But in the back end, in the way it's saving, that this data is saving, it's saving in the wrong format. It's saving the first name as Hossein and last name as Zakir. Or maybe it's not saving. So you have to test it from the back inside, from the place where it's saving. So after your testing is done from the front end, from that this user interface, you have to go back and test it from the back inside where the data is saving. So this whole process is called end-to-end testing. So you are testing in both sides, from beginning to end. That's why it's end-to-end testing. Okay, and one last, this is the end-to-end testing. So I have inserted a lot of things here. If you want, you can read it, or if you can just try to remember the concept, then it is also fine. So end-to-end testing means that the testing from beginning to end. Beginning means that you are starting from here, inserting your information here, clicking your register, and going back to the database, going back to the backend, going back somewhere, it's saving the data and checking if it's saving it properly or not. So this is the whole process from the beginning to end. That's why you call that as end-to-end testing. Okay. Okay, so I'm not going to take. Okay, we'll do that in our next session. Some other testing with the compatibility and boundary testing. Yeah. Let's keep that until this end-to-end testing, because we did a lot of practice today about this three kind of testing: sanity, smoke, and regression. I hope this helped you to understand in the testing this three kind of testing. And I already give you a task for the next session. Before the next session, please add your test cases. I believe you already have 2 test cases. Add your test cases in Jira, Zipper, Scale. Okay, create a new folder. It's very simple. Create a new folder here, new folder, and add your test cases under that folder. In that way, you can separate your test cases. Okay. Okay, so it's 9:39. Sorry, I took extra 9 minutes today. Is this supposed to be last week for manual? No. So next week will be the manual. Sorry, next week first session, that is Tuesday session, will also be manual. So I have to wrap it up because I'm trying to add something like hands-on in manual as well. So that's why I'm taking one more extra day to complete this manual. So usually we take 3 weeks, but this time I'm taking one more extra session on manual. Okay. Any other question or anything that you didn't understand, or need any help on any other thing? So you understood your task that you have to complete before your next session.
Hey, this one you will not use. This is my soup.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Brother, I tried to add a folder on the Jira. Can you please refresh the Jira board so that you can see like mine one has been added or not? Just for confirmation purpose.
Okay, let me
Yeah, I
check it.
see it. I see your name.
Oh, thanks.
It's taking some extra time, but I believe it should add because I give the permission to all of the users to create everything. Yeah, I can see that.
Thank you.
No problem. So I hope you will be enjoying this, creating these test cases, because you have to do the same thing in the project. If you are not enjoying, but still you have to do that to understand how to create the test cases, test script. Okay. Homework. So homework, this is not a homework, this is only a small task that you have to do. You have to go to this Jira. Then if you are in the American Airlines project, then you're fine. If not, then go to that project. You will be in a board at first, and then you have to go down, and then you'll see then there is a zipper scale. You have to click on that. Once you click on that, it will load a page, and in that page you have to create a folder under in your name. Like click on this new folder and give it your name here. In that folder you have to create 2 test cases. You already have 2 test cases in your Excel sheet, so you have to transfer that 2 test cases here under your folder. Like you see, Mr. Mijan already have 1 test case here. Anila have nothing. Mr. Anik have is showing anything? No, right? So you have to add test cases here. That's it. And also, if you are done with adding the test cases, you can do the execution. It's very simple. Go to the any test case and click on the execution, and then click on this test case again. Then go one by one step. If it's passed, click on pass. If it is failed, just click on fail. You provide the link for the Jira board. So if I go to the link, then we'll find the Jira board. Yes, you will find the Jira board, and in that email, I also shared that username and password. So by using that, any of the username and password, you'll be able to log in. Okay. Any other question? No problem. Okay. So if you don't have any